Welcome to Real Feels, the podcast that invites people to be public with their private persona. In a world where we are constantly redefining what it means to be a man, I'd like to take some time to find out who we are, who we aim to be, and the space in between. I'm your host, Brad Gage. Philip Wang feels like he's graduating into the next phase of his life, and it's easy to agree with him. Along with his team at Wong Fu Productions, Philip built a YouTube channel with a fan base of over 3 million people. And within the past year, he realized his dreams of opening a restaurant and proposing to his girlfriend Helen. It all seems perfect, but of course, it took a ton of inner work to get here. And as you'll see, Philip still feels impatient for what he can see is a future of opportunity, not just for him, but for the entire Asian American community. He's a very busy guy and a great friend, and I'm so grateful he took a little time to be here with me right now. You are so deft at maneuvering very difficult issues with your work.
Okay.
And so I was so, especially like some of the posts you've had recently, I've been reading them.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like you're opening up, you're being very vulnerable,
Yeah.
and you're like talking about, you know, some other podcasts are like, oh, we're going to be funny. We're doing these bits and stuff.
Yeah.
This is about like, I just want to talk to you, speak to your heart.
Yeah.
But I know you. You're
Yeah.
a guy who likes that stuff.
yeah. That's like literally our like my entire like unintentional shtick. But yeah, being vulnerable and also like letting people know that it's okay to have feelings and stuff like, and it doesn't make you like beta or make you weak or make you whatever. Like anyways.
Why do you think you say it's kind of your unintentional shtick.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you have gravitated towards kind of more thoughtful content, heartfelt content?
I don't know if it was like, because gravitate implies that I was somewhere else.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You
so
know what I mean?
You've just always been
I
there.
think even my earliest memories, I remember like just taking walks and thinking about things, like even like, and just being sad about stuff. And not to say like I had like a really difficult like upbringing life, but I would always be worried about things. I would always be very nostalgic about things. And then also just like aware of just like how fleeting, you know, life is and everything. I don't know. And I don't know where it started. I don't know. I'm sure like there's some media influence at some point in my life, or maybe my parents like, you know, situation, maybe all together. I don't know. Yeah.
When you were thinking about the fleeting nature of life,
Yeah.
what does that look like? What are the thoughts that were running through your young head?
I'll be honest. It probably first started with like just like, you know, girls and like getting rejected, not fitting in to like with friends, you know, like middle school. I hated middle school. High school was a lot more fun, but middle school I think was like really not the best, just because everyone already feels awkward in general. But then like for some reason, some kids were still popular in middle school, and it's like, how did that happen? Like they already got to be like the cool kids, and like, you know, I just not really fitting in. And I think it just was always feeling like I wasn't either enough or I wasn't doing something right. And so always feeling, just wanting to like be something else or be more, I guess. I don't know.
Right. There was a sense that you were not enough as you were, or you just weren't what you were supposed to be, or what do you think?
I don't think it was what I was, because I didn't know what it was I was supposed to be. I just knew that I just always felt like I'm not cool enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not, you know, I'm obviously not getting, you know, a girlfriend in middle school or like high school. So, okay, maybe I'm not like cool or attractive enough. And then like, you know, familial parental things at home were like also like on the rocks too. So yeah, I guess it was just a mix of just feeling lost, but then at the same time, like not wanting to make a big deal about it, you know, because I think that's another thing.
Right, because it's not cool to talk about that stuff.
Maybe a little bit of that, but then also I think like at least at home, like I didn't want to like culturally it's weird to like talk about your feelings with your parents, and then also they were already stressed enough, and like I didn't want them to like have to think about, oh, our son is being emo or something, you know? So it never got to a point where it became like harmful to me or anything. I think I was just like very normal. I think it's very normal for a kid to just feel like they don't fit in, you know? And that's kind of, but then when I started making content that reflected a little bit I guess, and then it was encouraged and it was well received. That positively reinforced. Okay, I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And so
We're in it. Are we?
We're,
in it?
we're
oh,
happy,
shit.
we're
Okay, we're in it. Okay. All right.
How do you feel about those things now? How do you feel like you are cool enough? Do you feel like you are in the in crowd that you perceived in middle school, or are those remnants still around a little bit in your psyche?
No, that's a good question. I think just in general, like and I think any adult that makes it through puberty and college, post grad, like you just realize that the definition of cool, definition of fitting in, like actually doesn't really matter.
Right.
And I think that in itself, that confidence of not caring, I think that is what's cool now. So like when we do like a lot of tour events, around the country, and I meet like lots of, kids in the university or even high school sometimes. And even now at Bopomofo, like we hire like seniors in high school, and it's so interesting talking to them and like, hearing what's important to them.
Bopomofo, by the way, is the cafe that I'm sipping on here.
Cheers.
And
cheers.
Let's do a little cheers. This is the first time we're having a plug
in
the show.
Yeah. I mean, it's my own plug, so that counts, right?
It does count. We're gonna take a little sip of the orange Wang here.
It's like a orange bang, creamsicle drink, orange juice.
It's incredible.
I'm glad you
like it. And not only, I'm just so happy you nice to receive a gift, but also orange creamsicle is such. You're talking about nostalgia.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is the probably most nostalgic flavor I can think of for myself.
Because really, when do you ever eat creamsicles as an adult?
Yeah.
You're gonna get like a chocolate, something here and there, berry something, but when are you eating a creamsicle?
Orange cream. I'm just having another one, and thank you for bringing a non-dairy option. You're just a very thoughtful guy. You are honestly, I'm just gonna gush about you a little bit. You're a very, very thoughtful guy, and have also been very honest about the stages in your life, the changes you've made. I've watched a lot of the stuff. I've listened to you on podcasts. Do you feel like you're in a spot now where you can be in that effortlessly uncaring spot that you're talking about, or is it still the practice?
I think it is I'm in a good place now where I think for especially the early parts of Wong Fu and this whole YouTube thing, definitely chip on my shoulder, wanting to prove that I'm as popular as the up and coming YouTuber or whatever. Now there's still like hints of, there's a successful filmmaker, or there's a successful writer. And I do, of course, I think just there's always going to be a desire to be driven and want more. But it's less of like, oh man, I suck, or like I'm not good enough, and more like I understand like, there's a system, there's politics, there's rules, and this is what you got to do or whatever. And I've also just kind of like, I think I don't think I'm like super wise or whatever, but I'm 35, but I think it's been a good amount of conscious life or aware life where I see that there's a bigger picture. I'm starting to really see like how big this picture can potentially be if I'm lucky enough to see the whole thing, right? And I think like when you're younger, you just have your perception of the world is so small, so that's why everything is so important, and so I have to have it now. And even with like relationships, like I have to get this girl, whatever. And I think like now, especially doing YouTube for like over 10 years, like you've seen like the peaks and valleys of other people's careers, you've seen the peaks and valleys of your own, and it makes you just kind of feel comfortable of like, okay, like even if I am super successful or I've done something amazing for 5 years here, it'll be old after a little while and you got to do something else. So that has given me a little bit of peace, that like I know that peace will never come. In a sense, so I'm like, okay, like you kind of just like
you have to create the peace. It's not just going to come to you.
In a sense, it's like you're like in the ocean, and you're just like after a while, you're like, you just gotta just go with the waves a little bit, There's this one great quote. I don't know why it's coming to me right now, but like it's from like a Japanese movie, like some a This Is Us type movie, and it was like when you're younger, you want to believe that like you're the wind. you know. And then like as you get older, you realize, oh, like it's okay to be grass, you know, and just like go along with things.
I love that.
Yeah, but
because the grass is much more peaceful and
it
grounded
is,
and rooted.
Right. And I'm not saying like be passive. I'm not saying
Right.
to just like give up on life or whatever. I think it's just like knowing when to exert your energy and your and that drive and passion for certain things, right? Like not like you don't have to. I'm still trying to practice this too, especially in this day of social media and Twitter fingers and everything. Like, okay, like sometimes like it's just take a step back, you know.
Sometimes it's okay to just not say something.
Exactly, and it's okay for
very
it's okay for your world to be small.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. I think like because of this digital age, so much information is like available to us, and we want to be in the know of everything. We want to have an opinion about everything. We want to affect everyone and like be at the center of this attention. It's like, look how many retweets I can get. Look how many likes. Like I'm the center. And like sometimes like, and maybe honestly because of this cafe, like it feels nice to just be like, oh, this is just my like little ecosystem. I helped or I served 100 people today.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice.
Well, but what you're talking about is the capacity of humanity. Like we're not meant to affect everyone at all times. And the idea that we can and should is all ego.
Yeah.
The idea, like look at all these numbers, what that means.
Right.
It is actually meaningless.
Right.
If you really like, and it takes a while to realize that too. Right. I want to go back to what you said about big picture, and what do you think your big picture is that all of these puzzle pieces of your life have been putting together? What are you starting to see as that big picture?
Well, I think first and foremost, like I definitely do want to like have a family, and you know hopefully have children that you know I can raise and everything, and that definitely that has never been something that like I was like averse to, but like it was never something that I was averse to. I just thought like, how does this make sense? You know, how can this actually work? Like mechanically speaking, how can someone actually be committed to someone this long and have feelings for someone this long, right? I had a really tough time accepting that, but I've gotten to a place now where I see how that can work, and so I definitely want to build that and hopefully have a relatively nice life in terms of like a family. I don't want. I obviously you never know what can happen, but like I just really hope that things can be fine. And then on the creative side, I realized the longer I've done this YouTube thing, and specifically, you know, with Wong Fu and our audience of like predominantly like Asian Americans, I definitely do see the importance of the gift that I specifically have been given in my specific community. And what I mean by that is there are so few of us that have made it to a certain level that where we can have some kind of impact or share our voice or whatever, that I feel like, okay, I shouldn't waste this. I should definitely figure out a way that I can bring more people up or bring more people into this, because I feel like if I don't, and if I don't get people that are on board with this, like there's a lot of our upbringings and like our personal stories that are going to get like lost. And real quick, you know, illustration of what I mean by that is like, you know, when you think of like your own parents, right, and what was it like for them when they were teenagers, you can like look at several movies that exist right now that are like, oh, it was probably like that, right? Or even like, you know, what was it like, you know, in the 80s or whatever, it was probably like that. And because Asian Americans are kind of like pretty new to this country in terms of like generationally speaking, like I don't have any movies that I could like say, oh, it was like that for my parents, like when they came to America, or even like what it was like to be Asian in the 90s, right? And I'm like, man, if no one tells these stories, then they actually disappear, right? So I have this new fire of like, oh my God, like I really want to tell stories, and I'm equipped to tell it for our community. So I really want to enable that, you know. So how
do you think your life would be different if you did have those stories growing up? Of those Asian American stories, because you base probably a lot of your stuff off of other people's stories. Yeah, no, definitely. Like I like grew up like relating to like white and black people.
Yeah, I found characters that were white and black. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's basically me. I think what might have been different is maybe like feeling like there was like more opportunity to be other things, or like that there was like, oh, here's an example of like a job or a level of success I can reach within this job, right? And so, I mean, I know like there's even some Asian American filmmakers that are like, oh, I knew I always wanted to be a director. Like that was not me. I never ever thought I would go into film or entertainment because I literally was just like, oh, that's impossible. Like that is not made for us, or just like I don't see a path to that at all, just because of like I've never been exposed to that path, right? And so I think that's one thing that would have changed, and I think it would have made me feel maybe a little bit more confident to just know that, oh, like my stories matter. I think that like I spent most of my life, even with Wong Fu, not thinking that my stories actually mattered. Like even though we were making stuff, it wasn't until actually Yappy, the show that we did together, that I was like, oh, this is specifically like actually about me. Because I feel like, again, culturally speaking, like there's a lot where we're brought up to think, no, don't try to stick your head, above everyone else. Like just blend in. You're not that special. You like your story is just like everyone else's. And don't bring up like your family's dirt or like what you're really thinking. So a lot of our early Wong Fu stuff was it's just about like love, more general things that everyone can relate to. And then that was the first time where I was like, oh, I'm gonna write about my experience and my thoughts. And I'm like, oh my God, this is empowering. This is almost like liberating too. Like and to know that other people will relate to it, that was really cool. So I feel like if I had that growing up, I would have gotten started on that like a lot earlier.
Yeah. Because of where you are, because of the amount of eyeballs on you, do you feel like you have a responsibility to be right about a lot of issues?
I feel that way, and whether or not I agree if I should feel that way
right.
is another thing. And I think that comes with the fact that we just actually don't have them. Again, it goes back to, and I'm not trying to like come on here and be like, oh, representation, oh, like we're so disenfranchised, but it is true. Like when you have less voices out there, when one person does make it, they do represent the entire community to people that are looking in, unfortunately. Like people look at Wong Fu sometimes, and we have haters too, and they're like, oh God, I don't like those guys. There's such this and this, and that doesn't represent me. And I'm like, yeah, like, but that doesn't mean you have to devalue what I do represent, right? Because what I do represent is still me, and it's still a number of people too. You might have your own type of people and way of thinking, and that's fine too. Like if I don't represent you, that's fine. But it just, it is unfortunate that people look to me or to our work and they think that that we're supposed to cover it all. And the truth is we're never going to. We try to, but we're never going to be able to. And that's when I encourage people like, hey, like I don't want Wong Fu to be the only Asian YouTube filmmaking crew. Like we've been doing this for 10 years, and honestly, like there hasn't been another one. Yeah. And I'm just like, and now I'm realizing, oh my gosh, like maybe we're supposed to have the responsibility to bring those people up, and it's just like more and more responsibility, just
more
because
work,
because we don't have enough people sharing that responsibility. Yeah. And that's the truth. Like even right now, like cool, like John Chu made Crazy Rich Asians. We got Lulu Wang with The Farewell, and I'm like, cool, we got two. But John's next movie is about it's called In the Heights, and it's about like the Latino like experience in New York. And we got Lulu working on something with Nicole Kidman, and there's a part of me that's like, no, keep telling our stories. And I want to get upset, but I'm like, man, it should, like they should have the agency to be like any other director and just go work with whoever they want. Yeah. And it is, I'm doing what I'm critical of other people doing to me. I'm like putting my agenda onto them. Like, hey, please do this for us. So it just comes down to we just need more people doing it.
I guess talk a little bit about how it's been dealing with that situation that we've talked about, being an Asian man depicting or being depicted, and how you've kind of. What have been kind of more the journey with that romantically?
Sure. Like to be honest, like I feel very lucky. I'm aware that I'm very lucky in saying this. I've never felt it was uncool to be Asian. I grew up in a city that was still like predominantly white. But I had my Asian friends. I had a good group of role models that were Asian. So I luckily, and also luckily, I never felt that much, racism towards me where I grew up. So props to my community, whatever. But I know that there are a lot of people that grew up in situations where, they were made fun of or they didn't get the girl strictly because of the way they looked, right? And I do sympathize with them, and that's why I'll never discredit why people are as angry as they are. But for me personally, like that wasn't my experience. But I do know that it is a reality in the way that historically the roles have been, and even like just like statistically, like I'm not trying to be here being like this angry, like, hey, woe is me, like Asian issues, whatever, Asian male issues.
I'm
like,
bringing it up.
Yeah, but like literally, like there's like dating websites that have statistics that say like Asian men are like the least swiped on or whatever, right? And Asian men are very much othered in you know this you know the more Western world, right? And I'm not gonna lie, yeah, it does suck to know that the default reaction or the default thought is that, oh, we're probably, yeah, we are on the bottom of the totem pole. But I do think that there is progress, but the thing is, like, it's progress that we're trying to like make for ourselves to like it's like, yes, every so often Hollywood's gonna give us like, you know, a carrot to like, you know, chase after, or we're gonna win the lottery and get like a couple leads there. But still, like again, it goes back to like the volume game. We just need more people that are like pushing to make their own stuff and put themselves out there. Change takes time, you know, like I said, like we are actually a very new ethnic group, relatively new ethnic group in the United States. Granted that there were like Chinese, Asian immigrants like in the 1800s and stuff, but like we were actually like not allowed to come in after like there was like the Chinese Exclusion Act. So like there was literally, we weren't allowed to come in. So there's this huge gap. And then in the 70s, it was lifted. And that's why my parents' generation came in. And that's why we have most of the Asians that are in America now are from that first wave. And so we're like barely 2 generations in, you know, and I think like that's where things will even out. People are going to grow up with like less of a chip on their shoulder. People are going to grow up more comfortable, also seeing more examples of themselves at an earlier age, and they'll go into more industries. So we're getting there.
Yeah. And it is funny you bring that up too. Another thing in Yappy was the like looking at, you know, different races coming in at different times and the competition between them. I thought, as a white guy from Wisconsin, it was one of the most enlightening experiences working on it and watching.
No, I'm glad. And like that's the thing. Like, you know, it was never like trying to like be angry or throw like that. I think that's my approach. Like, there's a spectrum of how you want to approach certain topics, right? I think some people, you know, they actually they don't want to even talk about it, and they're just going to be like, hey, I'm just going to fit in, and I'm not going to make my non-Asian friends uncomfortable. And then you have the other people that are like hyper political, and it's like, okay, well, if you're just yelling at them and not trying to listen, there's not going to be any discourse. Like there's got to be some kind of empathy that is happening here, mutual empathy, I should say, right? And when you have that, and people are genuinely curious, and people are genuinely willing to share, because to be honest, it's the same amount of culture like ignorance too. I have no idea what things are like in Wisconsin. I can gather from movies and media, which I guess is already more than you can say for me, but it's like still like, I'm like, is this really what it's like? Or like, so I'm curious about you. So I'm going to ask questions that, and we did a sketch about this too, where I'm going to ask questions that if you were asking me, it would probably seem really ignorant. You know, it's like, if I were to ask you, oh yeah, I know someone else from Wisconsin. Do you know that guy?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, where's your Wisconsin accent? Why aren't you speaking with it? So it is a little bit of a...
It is, but it's a beautiful thing to have people in your life where you can feel comfortable to talk about those types of things.
Right.
I think, what does it mean to you to be a man?
Ooh. Because I feel like this is a trick question, because I was going to say like some qualities, but I'm like, oh, why can't women or female identifying people have these qualities?
Well, I don't think it's one or the other. I just think what does it mean for you to be a man?
Okay. Integrity. I do think having confidence of having control is good. Whether you actually have control is different, and also the confidence of like at least faking it sometimes. That's an example of like I don't need to ask for directions kind of thing.
Right.
I do believe actually being a good leader makes you a good man, and I think that brings in social norms too. But I believe that, and I've been told like a lot of women do like when the guys can like lead the way, make decisions. Hey, let's like make suggestions, things like that, right?
There's a difference between having confidence and leading the way and like arrogance and being uber controlling and seeking ownership over someone. Yeah.
I would also add, I think anyone that says they're an alpha male is not an alpha. I think
compensating.
I think the way like alpha is in your actions. It's not in like what you say. It's not in how you look. It's in how you treat others and how you treat even women, actually. Like that's how I would define that.
How has falling in love changed your content?
YouTube content.
Your work. How has falling in love changed the work that you're putting out?
Well, I think thankfully, I've been falling in love for a long time. So my work has been a reflection of like whatever I felt falling in love was at that time, right? So when I was like, in college or just out of college, it was like, it was that nice guy stuff of like, oh my God, I'm so good. I'm such a good person. Why don't girls like me?
Right.
Then it was like, I'm never going to find anyone, or I've made so many mistakes. How can I let that one go? Then it gets into like regret. Like I feel like that was like my falling in love was actually like worrying about like mistakes or worrying that I'm not going to make the right choices. So being frozen in making decisions of where my relationships go. And then I think now, and I haven't really made anything since like Helen has become what she is in my life, but I definitely will in the future. But I think now there's a level of peace that comes with just knowing, okay, I don't need to look anymore. I acknowledge that you are the one I want to make it work with. We still fight a lot, but like I know that as a teammate, I want to do it with you. I want to do this journey with you. And now I want to graduate into different types of relationship challenges and problem solving than just like, oh, where's my girl? Or why didn't you like me? Or what should I do? Should I commit to you or should I not? Like once you get that all out of the way and you can just focus on, okay, this is it. It actually, I feel like makes things a lot more, I wasn't going to say easy, but like, yeah, just like focus. Like you can compartmentalize that as like, okay, that you can silo that as like, okay, I'm going to do that. And now I can focus on building businesses, other friendships, like my family, things like that. Whereas I think when I was like sad about girls, it was a blanket over everything. I feel like I've been a lot more knowing myself now that where I am now, I guess.
What do you think is the root of that? Like what giving you that confidence to look outward? What does Helen give to you that provides that ability?
A lot of it is the timing of us, of where we both are in life, right? And I mean, that's like a cliche thing. It's not about who, it's about when, right? But I think with me and Helen, like it's such a difficult way to answer because it wasn't like I met you and then this was it and I decided because of all these things. We actually met in 2008, didn't talk or talked on and off because she was in Boston for like 5 years. We were with other people. She moved to LA and in 2013, and then even the way we got together wasn't that clean. So it was a very messy like transition for me. And then we were on and off. And so I wish I could say like, oh yeah, like I just had this, like when I saw her, like everything clicked kind of thing. No, actually, like I love Helen to death now, but it's like, I felt like I was like becoming a different person, but like I was like, some like dark shadow or spirit in me was like unwilling to let go of this other thing. And it just kept bringing me back to, hey, don't let this go. Can you really trust where you're going with this, with Helen? And it was just a very, very messy time for both her and I, where emotionally we just weren't that ready for each other. And that went on for almost 3 years, which is a long ass time to go back and forth with someone. And I used to tell people that, hey, if you're in a make or breakup relationship, that's clearly not healthy, right? But I was in it, and I wasn't like dating anyone else in between. It was clearly like I was trying to work on myself. Like, why am I not ready to jump in all the way with you? Why am I not ready to let go of my past? And there's elements of guilt. There's elements of fear that I'm going to hurt her again, like I've hurt all my other exes. And so I don't want to bring you into this brooding
that's
artist
the thing.
that, like, I think a lot of artists want to believe that they're like, oh God, I need to be tortured.
Right. Like, there was a part of you that thought you can't do this or it'll mess with your steez.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, or my art, or like, I used to like kind of use an analogy of like an amusement park where it's like, okay, the ride of, let's say, yearning after someone and wanting to be with a stranger in the night or whatever, or I'm only in town for we made eye contact. Like, that's a fun ride, right? And to know that I have to close that ride down, I never get to ride that ride again, I have that emotional, journey. Oh my God, I don't know if I want to close that ride. I want to keep that open, because who knows, maybe in 20 years, this will be so stale, and I'll be tempted by that again, right? And there's movies that like totally like show that happens, you know, like, yeah. And so you're afraid of it happening, and I'm like, do I want to hurt this girl if that's a possibility, right? So I think like, I guess I did have one light bulb moment where I was going on like a solo hike. I was trying to like, You
were that nostalgic.
I was being that
middle schooler again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I got to the top and I was sitting there and I zoomed out of my body and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Who are you feeling like? Why are you trying to be sad? You have every reason to be happy right now. You have a wonderful person who wants to make it work with you if you're going to make it work with her. And your businesses like are moving, like you have nieces and nephews, and this like, what are you're just feeling sorry for yourself for the sake of feeling sorry. And that actually kind of was like, I felt pathetic in that moment. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be this person anymore. And I think it was partially me also acknowledging, I'm like, oh my God, it's been over 3 years that I've been doing this. Who am I? What am I? And I was like, when I compare that to like a college time frame, I'm like, oh my God, I've almost went through an entire college career of just being sad. And I was like, dude, you gotta grow up.
Yeah, you get a
you gotta grow up.
A Bachelor of Arts in being sad.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing too. I was like, you know what? Like, I would be a great 20-year-old right now with the level of confidence that I have and knowledge and experiences. Any 20-year-old person, like, I would feel so comfortable around, right? But then I'm like, when I'm actually around these people that age, I'm like, oh, I so don't want to like be living this life anymore. It's
sad. It would be sad to be a 32-year-old.
Hey, some people it works for
20-year-old.
I'm not saying that. Like,
I think it would be sad. Evolve.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I actually said in their podcast. Like, I was like, I want to graduate. I don't want to be the super senior of 20-something bachelor emotions. Right, or whatever that class is. Like, I don't want to be that. Oh, he's still here. he's been here for 6 years.
Guy, you're just so much bigger than everyone. Yeah, it's like Billy Madison.
Right, and like, and it's not even like social pressures of like, oh, I gotta start a family or whatever. It really was like, I think I've learned everything that I need to of this class.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm like, dude, I'm kind of curious what it's like to do the family thing, or let's do that. Yeah.
What is the greatest lesson that you feel like you've learned being with Helen?
I would say it's really important in a relationship that two people are like 100% comfortable in who they are in the relationship. If you ever feel like you're hiding something about who you really are, or what you really want to be or do, and how you want to act, like, I think some people are okay to like censor part of it, but it's so much better when you can be unapologetically yourself around the other person, from like your thoughts, your desires, your kinks. Like, it's so nice to like just be confident that whatever you want to be today, that they'll accept you for. And then if they do have a trouble or with it, that they're not just going to be like, okay, I want out,
right.
But that they want to figure it out with you.
Yeah.
And that you will reciprocate it back to them too. Everything it needs to be a balance. Oh, that's another thing too. I learned that for a long time, I was making myself the protagonist in my own life. And of course, that's all we know. We know our first person experience.
You were
right?
getting in your own way.
No, and then also what I mean is,
you were the protagonist.
I'm the protagonist of my life. So everyone coming through me is like, it's just you're passing by and you're in my life.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And then I realized, wait, that person is thinking the same thing about herself. Yeah. I'm just a character in her life. So when she's doing something that I don't like, of course, me, the protagonist, is like, wait, this is my story. You should change because I'm the lead in my movie. But wait, in your mind, you're the lead and I'm fucking things up. And when I realized that, I'm like, oh wait, sometimes I'm supposed to be the supporting character in someone else's life. That changed a lot in my perspective too. Like, oh, what do I really need to fight for? What really like gets on my nerves, or also like what motivates me to love this person also? Like, what do I want to do to elevate this person as well? When you take, I think most of your life, you're just like, me, my story, who loves me? Who do I want to love? I'm over you. I don't love you anymore. I'm into that person. I'm on to the next. Now what do I want to do? And it's like, wait, sometimes you got to say, it's not what I want to do, but for you, I will do it. And I think that's what has been a really big shift in what I never had before with any other girl.
I think that's a really fun way to explain how empathy works to
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Because it's where it gets thrown around a lot, but like, you don't always get it.
Right.
Totally get it in the core. And I love what you said about being safe, feeling safe to be yourself. Because I don't know if this has been your experience, maybe not, but like I have felt like I was not safe in relationships to be myself. Yeah. And you know whose fault that is? It's mine. It's my fault.
Yeah.
It is not my partner's fault.
Right.
It is not on them to make me feel safe to a certain degree. Right. But for me to, no one can give you the confidence of who you are.
Right.
And so that's been a fun and challenging journey.
Has that? So, are you feeling that's changing in your current relationship?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is. Again, it's just learning things, time, different person, and
I think like social media is another thing that makes people censor themselves even more.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay,
personas.
Yeah, you put on persona, or like you want to appear like a certain type of couple, and so you're gonna put certain content out or whatever. Are you being honest with yourselves and now with other people too? You know, and it's like once you like let go of that, it's liberating. Yeah. And also, like, if you don't bring it up, when push comes to shove, it might come up in the worst way.
It will. No, it will. It will. Not mine. It will, and that can be the worst part.
And it could either be early on or it could be way later. Oh man, yeah. It's better to just be like as upfront as you can, like earlier on. Yeah.
Yeah. How does Helen make you feel when you think about her? What are some feelings that she evokes in you?
I think safe. I definitely feel safe with her. I don't feel like I ever need to question whether she loves me. And I think that's a really nice feeling. And sometimes like I'll like hear what other people are going through, or I'll read like an excerpt in an article or something, or I don't know, and I'll remember for a split second the feeling of like what if when someone describes like someone not liking them, or I really like this person but they don't like me back, and I get a hint of that feeling. I'm like, oh my God, I never want to go back to that ever again. And I know that sounds super like privileged to me right now, because like, hey guys, good luck finding your partner or whatever.
Well, but I think you're an example.
Right.
It's good to be an example for people of being like, hey, I was in a place where I didn't fucking believe that love existed. I thought it was a farce. I thought it was stupid. I don't know if that was part of your darkness you were talking about before.
Definitely.
And I was kind of sensing that from listening to some of your other interviews. When you are in love, yes, you feel a little privileged and a little bit like, like, you know I can say this because I'm in this position, but we've also not been in that position and not believed in it. So I like to use my love as an example to people and go like, you know, keep trying, keep growing, keep looking, being open, and but also, you know, don't fucking agonize over it. That's the thing I think a lot of people do, guys especially, like getting girls, that whole thing.
And then they fill that void in like not always the best means or ways, you know, and like so I appreciate you saying that, just because like I definitely don't feel guilty, you know, obviously like being able to get to a point where I am right now. She inspires me too, like, and not necessarily like in what she does, but she also like inspires me to be better so that I can be a better partner and man for her as well. And also like there's when you find someone that's like just like down to experiment, and what I mean by that is like, hey, like life's really long and we gotta like keep things interesting. I'm not talking just about like sexually, but I'm like let's be open-minded and try, you know, new things. Let's go out when we actually like are kind of tired or whatever, and like let's push each other to do things that we might not want to do. And also like, hey, you have this like little passion. You should explore that, and we can push each other in that way, So it's been fun to like kind of have that scheming partner, where you can like look at like your life together, and you're like, oh, like what should we do? Like this could be fun, yeah.
It's this idea that I've been saying time and time again. It applies to jobs, applies to relationships. I think we're all kind of seeking that experience that is not something we have to do, but something we get to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like you have with Helen.
Yeah, I think in the dark times of like, oh, fuck love, whatever, like it definitely felt like why would you do this to yourself? Why would you like submit yourself to just one person that you're probably going to hurt, that you're probably going to lose interest in, because that's all that's ever happened. And then
I believed we were doomed to hurt each other.
Yeah.
That was like the phrase I would always say.
Oh my God, yeah. And then I think you get to a point where like that's a choice if you want to do that. And then even that I used to think was like, why would you choose? Like I used to think like, wait, so no matter what, if you want to get married or if you want to have a long-term partner, you have to choose to stop looking. You just have to choose to stop looking. And I used to think like, who would actually like willingly do that? Everyone always is going to want to keep looking. And then for me, what like kind of clicked in is that I could keep looking, but like whatever I find, I'm going to get to the same point with that person too, of like, oh, I'm bored, or I want to keep looking again. And then you're just in this perpetual cycle of just never being satisfied.
Yeah. You're ready to build something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is your greatest gift?
God, you're asking crazy questions. Whew. I think right now my greatest gift is I think it is like seeing the bigger picture. Like I don't know if there's like a noun word for that.
Yeah.
But just knowing that everyone is, man. That's
I know how tough it is. I probably should have sent that question before because no, I've been thinking about this because it is, and the pressure's not here to like you have to be all defining right now in this moment, but just checking in with yourself. This is a question, and why I like to ask it is because I have not been asking myself that most of my life, and it's so important.
What's yours?
My gift,
you started off.
My gift is empathy.
Okay. I was going to say that
and
too.
love.
Okay.
And connection. And so because I sit and I'm very good at not judging, and I'm very good at listening and understanding and reaching, definitely because of how my household was. A lot of meeting in the middle, finding peace, finding understanding.
Right.
Because I grew up in a place where that wasn't always the case.
Right.
And so like that's the gift that's been given to me,
That's really, really awesome. And I definitely feel that from you too. Like, I mean, we the few times that we talk, throughout the year, like I always get that from you. So yeah, man, I was actually then going to say like, even saying this already doesn't feel like what it is, but I was going to say like, there's a little bit of selflessness that I don't think I'm a very selfish person. And when I say that, it's not that I'm not like looking out for myself or I'm trying to like earn a living or whatever, but like, I think a lot of people and I know this because I've seen people in my circles that are in a position that I'm in, and I can tell that they just want to get famous. They just want to get rich. They just want to see how far that they can go and they can climb. And like, I still want those things for myself too, but I also know that like along the way, like I want to bring a lot of people with me. I know that it's not even just about my personal career and success, like, but if I can help build someone else up, like I see that as part of my purpose now too.
Yeah.
I get genuine excitement about like helping others, and helping like, the community as well. So I know like a lot of people wouldn't put that on their backs right now. And that's why I feel that urgency, because I look to my left and right and I'm like, oh my God, we already have so few people at our level, in the industry, in our community doing this. And then like, and it's like, if no one is going to do it, fuck, I guess I'll do it, like, so I guess that's right now, that's a gift that I'm trying to exude and manifest towards other people. Yeah.
You are such an incredible example of having reverence for your community, for your friends.
Thank you.
For the people you work with.
Yeah.
Your company is only filled with the best people, the most lovely people.
Thank you. Yeah,
and that's
amazing.
A representation of you. No, I love that.
Thank you.
And I just hope more people ask themselves that
Yeah,
question.
no, that's a really,
because
really good
everybody
question.
has a beautiful,
Right.
perfect gift.
Yeah, and the earlier you acknowledge it, the earlier you can put into practice.
Yeah.
And then also
create a life from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then make something of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
How does your heart feel right now?
My heart feels stressed.
Thank you for fitting this in to your day.
Honestly, like the evenings are not too bad, like because I'll just stay up later. And no, overall, I feel very motivated. My heart feels very motivated. Is that mind or is that heart?
Whatever answer you have is right.
Yeah, okay. I feel impatient. I feel impatient.
You feel impatient?
Yeah, I feel impatient. Like there's so many things that I want, and not even like just give it to me now. It's like I'm willing to put in the work, and it's just like I just wish I could just get all these
get
things.
there.
I just wanna
Yeah,
get
you
there, yeah.
you need more time in your life.
Yeah.
The reason why you put out so much stuff is because of that impatience. I guess to me, and this is most artists, most people I know out here, will that ever be satisfied?
That's scary sometimes. I actually think
Will
about
it?
that, like,
Yeah.
because at a certain point, like, is it like maybe it's one of those things that when we get there, we'll understand, like, oh, like you can pump the brake, or you can like let go of it. Kind of like where I am with YouTube now. I've firmly accepted that I do not want to be part of that rat race of like, oh, how many subscribers, how many views. Like, I'm okay with whatever we are, or I feel established enough where I don't need to care.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if if you're like Betty White and Dick Van Dyke right now who are still alive, right? And it's like, I don't think they're caring about, being relevant, and it's like it's just
maybe.
Does it take that long to get there? Like was Betty White still worried about booking stuff at 80 and at 70, But I do worry about that because I want to feel accomplished and I want to feel satisfied. But yeah, I think the nature of this business is relevance. And I hate that. I never thought that would be something that I would have to care about. But then you think about, that's like any job like has an aspect of that, right? Like even a small business, like these are customers. Like you need to stay relevant to the customers. If you're a dentist, you need to keep patients coming in.
Yeah, right? I mean, advertising is finding relevant. That's a good point. And I think it's a good reminder that our art and what we're doing out here is a product.
Right.
And I've learned looking at it more like that is the only way you start making money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's that when you try to be a little too hoity-toity about it, like, no, it's just the art. It's just the art. Like, that works for like a very, very, very small percentage of people. Most of it is a business, and I would say it's a skill to merge the two.
Yeah,
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can still find the art in the business and the business in the art.
Well, I think you've done that.
Thank you.
I love
I'm
it.
Trying.
And this tastes like art. I'm just going to say that. One more sip.
Thank you.
Phil, thank you so much for being here.
Dude.
I really, I love having you as a friend. I love that you're down to talk about this stuff.
Appreciate it.
And I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, I hope that I'll have some more to show you soon. But for now, the YouTube channel is there. Cafe is there whenever you want to go. And yeah, congratulations on doing this podcasting. While there's a lot of, it's like a tongue-in-cheek joke right now that like, oh, everyone's starting a podcast, whatever. But it's actually a lot of work.
Yeah.
People just think, oh, it's just like just talking. But I mean, there's a lot of back-end stuff and also committing. I think commitment in general, that's just the hardest thing. So props to you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.